Welcome back, guys. We're back to U.S. History Top Up with Evancha. My name is Dr. Chris Erskine, and today we're going to talk about the Gilded Age. We've got two lessons, but in this first lesson, what I really want to talk about is just to help you understand what the Gilded Age was. Now, a lot of Americans today, if you ask them what the Gilded Age was and when it was, many Americans couldn't give you a good answer, but it's really quite simple. And so I want to spend a few minutes today in this lesson just talking about what the Gilded Age was and when it was. So on this first slide, we can see it says Gilded Age, and what was the Gilded Age? And so the first question I want to ask you, and that I would ask people in my classroom, is what does it mean if something is gilded? No, it doesn't have anything to do with leaves or walnuts, which is what you can see in the pictures here. But something is gilded if it is covered with a surface, usually gold. When we talk about something that's gilded, it's usually gold that we're talking about. And so you can see this leaf here. The leaf actually, when it comes on a tree, it's just a leaf. It's not covered in gold. And just like this walnut, this walnut has been dipped in gold or painted with a gold covering, and so it is gilded. But inside is really just not gold at all. It looks like it's gold, but it's not. And so that's what the Gilded Age was in American history during the 1870s and 80s and 90s and really into the early 1900s. America looks like it's got these really great things happening. And there are some exciting things happening. There's no question about that. But it looks like everything is gold, but really everything is not gold. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So on the next slide, we can see, and we can see a number of things that we talk about when we talk about the Gilded Age. And I'm not going to spend time talking about each of these because your book talks about them. But I do want you to read these, and you should expect to have questions on your test or on your quiz for these. And certainly, when you take the SAT in a couple of years to prepare for college, you will have questions on the Gilded Age for sure. So a couple of these things: the Tweed Ring, the Credit Mobilier scandal, the era of good stealings, President Grant, Ulysses S. Grant, and the Chinese Exclusion Act. A number of things that are happening during this Gilded Age. But what I want you to look at here is this picture. Now, you remember the phrase equal protection. Equal protection is where everyone is treated equally. Remember, that's in the 14th Amendment, and we've just studied that at the end of the Civil War. Equal protection is on the umbrella, and so the cartoon is there's equal protection for all the rich, wealthy, big businesses, and while everyone else is left out in the rain. And that kind of is what people think about when they think about the Gilded Age. On the next slide, we have two pictures, and one of them is a big fat man. He's got lots of money, and he's taking something, he's twisting the low wages, so the amount of money that you make at your job goes down, and the amount of rent that you pay for your house goes up, and you're squeezed in the middle, and so it's squeezing you. And so it's just not a good picture of what American life was like. And this next slide, not the same slide, but the next picture on this same slide, I love this picture. It's a picture of a gilded horse, and a knight is sitting on the horse, and the horse actually underneath is a train, which says that the people that were running the railroads were the ones that were making all of the money, and they were the ones that are jousting the common person, the worker with the hammer. Jousting is a sport in the medieval Europe times where people on two horses would run towards each other with a pole and try to knock each other off the horse. But in this case, is it fair? It doesn't look like it's very fair. You have one man on a donkey and one man on a railroad on a gilded horse. Which one will win? And that's what the cartoon is trying to tell us. Which one will win? It's not really much of a contest. And on the next slide, we see the same thing. We see that on two other pictures, and on the top left side, we have a picture, and the workers are holding something up, and we call them fat cats. The fat cats, the rich business owners, are sitting on the top, letting themselves be ridden along, enjoying life, doing nothing while the people underneath them are carrying them along through their hard work. And on the right bottom side, we see the same kind of thing. And we constantly contrast this with those people who are skinny, who are working hard, and those people who are not skinny, who are kind of fat, who are controlling everything and have all the money. And even though the United States did not want to make everything exactly equal, they wanted to make it a little bit more equal so that the rich businessmen, the corrupt landlords, could not control the lives and ruin the lives of the common people. And so on the next slide, we see the Gilded Age. The quality of life for rich people was very good. The quality of life for everyone else was not very good, and for some people it was really bad. On the surface, it seemed that the United States was the Golden Gate. But in reality, most Americans did not have very much. They did not have the things that certainly the rich people had. And that's even true today. And that's okay. Everyone's not going to be the same. But when you have a small group of rich people and everyone else is super poor, then the people will rise up to make things a little bit more equal. We're never going to be here, but we shouldn't be here. Maybe we can be here in terms of the inequalities. On these next several slides, what I want to show you are some photographs of houses that were built by rich people during the Gilded Age. And on this first slide, this is called the Biltmore House, and this is in North Carolina. And this is the largest home in the United States, and this was built by Vanderbilt. Cornelius Vanderbilt's, not him, but I think his grandson or his nephew. It's one of the most beautiful homes in America today, but this was built in the Gilded Age. And on the next slide, we can see other photographs. And some of these are on the Hudson River, just outside of New York. And Roosevelt lived on one of those later. He's not during the Gilded Age. That's Franklin Roosevelt, that is. But these are homes from the Gilded Age, and you can see how nice they are on the outside, and they're on rivers and lakes, and it's very beautiful. You can see inside one of them in one of those pictures. So the Gilded Age, just lots of money and excess. Then on the next slide, you can see 4 pictures of homes that people lived in during the Gilded Age that were not so nice. So these were slums. Can you imagine living like this? Which would you rather live like? The poor slums or in the nice homes? And so if you think about it like this, the people that live in these poor slum homes are working 16, 18 hours a day sometimes, and their children of 6 or 7 years old also working long hours. Maybe the wives or mothers are working, and they're not getting paid very much money. And then the person that owns the business is going home and making millions and millions and billions of dollars, which is okay. But what the workers said is that, look, we should have basic health care. We should have a limit to how much we have to work. And if you want us to work more, then you must pay us more. And so there should be some limits on some of the things that happened during the Gilded Age, on the rich success and the excess. And so that's what the Gilded Age is. And that's what we're going to talk about. That's finished talking about the Gilded Age, and that's part of this chapter. And in the next chapter, the next lesson for this chapter, we're going to talk about kind of Jim Crow, discrimination, racism, and the end of Reconstruction in the United States in the 1870s. So we'll talk to you then. All right, bye-bye.